Good evening, everyone. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year confirmed at the annual meeting are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices were sent via fax to the Record, Suburbanite, and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. So, just in case anybody is not familiar with our structure, this is a combined meeting. We have a work session first, and then a public meeting. Quite often, our public meeting goes into the big room, but depending on how many people are here, there always is the possibility that we stay in this room. So, public comment will be taken during the public meeting. So, the first thing on our agenda is to be considered. We have the Tiny Free Library. Presentation by the Tenafly Library Friends.
To introduce the Friends of the Library came up with an idea that they'd seen in other towns like Englewood, where there's a little, I guess it's a freestanding box with donated books in them. And they have the money for it, so they're not looking for money, but they're looking for a little bit of guidance and direction as to where a possible good location would be in town.
Well, when you say the books that are in this Tiny Free Library are donated books, so does that necessarily mean that they're not new books? They're just,
Correct.
It's, in other words, some of the books that we normally might have at the book sale.
Yeah, or sitting in a library, or someone could put their own in if they want to put one in.
I see.
Yeah.
I see.
So it's called Take a Book, Return a Book. So, I mean, I know I've seen one on Cedar Lane in Teaneck. And so the idea is it might go well here, and a few possible locations were mentioned, but we figured we'd run this by the group and see if anyone had maybe some ideas as to what might be ideal.
Are any of the friends of the library here that would like to speak?
If one was handing out.
All right, just identify yourself for the record, please.
Marilyn Friedman, 49 Bluff Road in Tenafly.
And Teresa Austin, 29 Sherwood Road in Tenafly.
Okay.
The Tenafly Library Friends are asking for permission to go forward with placement of a little free library in our town. This concept is not only a national idea, but also international. And if you see from the proposal, it is a take a book, return a book idea that we really looked at in Englewood. They have two. One in outside of the Southwest Senior Center, and the other one, what's that park?
McKay Park. Okay. Demarest and Dean, that corner there.
And we have some pictures, and essentially we're going to, as Paul said, we're going to take the many books that we have that have been donated, and we're going to monitor, supervise, supply, store these books in this book
Kiosk.
kiosk. And it's an opportunity for people to really take advantage of our books, and if they're, wanting to even donate some books into the library.
Couple of questions. I would assume that the library board supports this?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Do you have a sense of locations? Would you mind sharing those with us?
Absolutely, and I'd also like to preface it by saying that the cost is going to be, it's going to be taken care of by the Friends group. We figure it's going to be about $600 for the box and the stand and the installation. When you when you purchase a box through the Little Free Library organization, you not only get a registration, an official charter sign, you're also added to the NFL World Map, but they also take care of all the charter. So the Friends group is going to take care of all of that.
So once again, locations?
Yeah. We're really looking at the bus stop right in town. We feel that the availability, the accessibility.
Which bus stop?
The bus shelter.
Main one.
Right,
Bus shelter, okay.
We feel that that's a really great location for people to take a book, get onto the bus, or leave a book, and
I also just mention that we run, I'm sure you're aware, we have an ongoing book sale in the library that's run by the Friends. And we are, because this is such a generous town, we are inundated with books. We cannot move those books fast enough, especially children's books. So we were especially hopeful that this would be a good way to funnel a lot of children and young adult books through this kiosk.
Do you have a sense of how often somebody would look, pass by to check on this?
well, we have spoken to the Indian people. We've been in contact with them, and they say that weekly they replenish their books.
So you're not suggesting that you're going to be there every day. It's maybe
No.
weekly.
Exactly.
I think we'd probably be there more than weekly. We actually tend the ongoing book sale 3 to 4 days a week, and I suspect we would end up doing that because I suspect book turnover would be heavy.
We see the pictures here, but the one question I have, is there any signage involved?
Yes, the signage is going to be part of the money that we're...
No, I'm saying, do you plan
Can I
on,
just show you the
Yes.
second
do you
picture?
plan on putting signage?
No, just,
Okay.
you see, it comes with something
Yeah.
like this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
What we thought was we would do the library logo on one side and the Friends logo on the other, and you could possibly even do library hours on the
Well, are
back.
these boxes sold by a
Yes,
company?
yes,
by the
So-
little free library system.
Interesting.
They
Dan, you
come-
had some
yeah.
questions?
No, you answered it.
Anybody else have any questions?
Yeah, I have about, since I saw that, I read on Friday about this one, I thought it was a fantastic idea. I would suggest something to the effect that take a book, use a book or something, because people, if they are so nice, but they don't know if they can take it. Something to say, yeah, take a book, stuff like that. So that would be one of the suggestions. The second suggestions I was thinking in also in Hoyler Park, where people come and sit down and to get a book to borrow, put it back.
The bus shelter's right across the street.
I know, but it's not gonna be, you don't see it if it's in a bus shelter, especially if it's enclosed. I just suggest it. I mean, you guys are 10 times smarter
You can start
on
with
what
bus
to
station,
do.
move up.
I'm sorry?
You can start with one, move to.
Yes.
Yeah, I like the shelter because people sometimes get to the bus stop and they don't
Look
have
right
anything to
outside the
read.
right spot.
Maybe something catches their
No, I
fancy.
thought it was good
Yeah,
idea.
the
Bus shelter-
second location, Highland Park, would be
Well,
nice.
Yeah,
I
exactly.
actually will mention that the Friends had said if one, we put one up, and if that goes well, we're very
Yeah.
open to donating a second one to
So
our township.
I sense
Doing
that
it
there's
in-
full support from the council.
Great idea.
So I'm going to ask you that when you are prepared, you reach out to Mr. Culvert, who is the Director of DPW and Parks, for a suggestion, and work the location with him. He might even be able to give you a hand with the installation. So I'm not promising anything, but he has a lot of spare time.
Hey, yeah, look at that.
Well,
Look, I-
once again, we thank you. I think this is something that's going to
Thank
be
you.
a real plus for the library.
I thought it was for Paul.
Great, I'll be in touch.
Next, we have street fairs. Okay, I once again asked that this get put on the agenda because I have some concerns about street fairs. I've never been a true supporter of them. We have moved around town due to mostly due to the fact that the businesses that have been located on the street where the street fair is have for the most part, I shouldn't say for the most part, there's been opposition to it. All right, we can measure it any way you want to measure it, but there's been opposition, so we moved it from Washington Street, we put it on Highwood, we had problems there. Now we put it over by Hyler Park, and it really impacts only one business, and that is the train station, the Cafe Angelique, which happens to be a tenant of ours. Okay, now, if people want to argue over how it affects his business, for this free speech, etc., but he is seriously opposed to it, and my personal opinion is, why would we move away from some businesses who object and put it in front of another business that objects? So, and even a more pertinent question from my perspective is, other than the fact that this is the best fundraiser for the Chamber of Commerce, and nobody doubts for 1 second the value of having a vibrant and financially solvent chamber. But the question becomes, beyond that, is this concept beneficial for our town? And you can make a case either way. My own feeling is that a high percentage of our residents avoid downtown during the street fair. And I think even if it's not in front of businesses on Washington Street, it impacts them. A lot of people don't come down on, a good percentage of the people that frequent these street fairs are from other towns. That in itself sounds like it's a benefit to our community, but the question becomes, while they're here, what goes on? So and once again, we've had the same discussion year after year. Obviously, we need a consensus here whether we're going to continue with the street fairs or not. Right now, the consensus was, the last time we took a vote or talked about this, was to allow it to continue. I'd be curious if anybody feels the same way I do, or if you feel that this is something that should continue, we can continue it. And then there's the question about location. If you think that this location makes sense, fine. But certainly it's not my decision. It's the decision of the council, unless it's tied up. Max?
Okay, we just basically, when we discussed last time, and we talked to the Chamber of Commerce, we were told that the majority of businesses voted for this to take place. Now, what was not said was the majority of businesses were not really the retail businesses that do business in the areas where we basically have that one. Where businesses that have a second floor, a bank, and stuff like that. But it is the duty of the businesses that are opposing that to go to the Chamber of Commerce if they feel and get the majority they need to basically say, no, we don't want that. We have kind of given the Chamber of Commerce to be the representative of the businesses in town. And they did that. They did something that the majority of the members agreed they want. If the location is good or bad, we can discuss it. But my point was, the Chamber of Commerce represents the businesses, and they came with what the majorities of businesses, the majority basically wanted.
Well, I think you bring up an interesting point, and that is the vote.
Yeah.
Okay, when you say the majority of the businesses,
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many members there are in the Chamber of Commerce, but there's quite a few. The number of people actually voting is significantly smaller than that.
Which is
Now,
their responsibility.
Well, and I've told the people that oppose this, some of the people that oppose it aren't members of the chamber. I said, join the chamber
Exactly.
and have your voice heard. And then there's people that don't show up that are members. So the number of people actually voting for the street fair is relatively small. Okay, it's larger than the people voting against it,
Yeah.
but it's small.
It's a democracy.
Well,
it's their responsibility to.
Well, the chamber, everything is a democracy here. But the question becomes, how does it impact the downtown in general? And are residents staying out of the downtown during the street fair? I don't know. I mean, I know what I have, my opinion,
Yeah.
but your opinion is counts also. Mark?
Overall, I like the street fair concept. I think it supports the chamber. It's 50% of the chamber's revenues. I happen to personally attend not all, but almost all of the chamber events, the cocktail parties at restaurants and things like that. And, the events are always packed with people, which means people are involved. I think the whole concept of the street fairs is nice for the community. I mean, it's an activity. It kind of it brings some life downtown, even if it's even if the life is this debate sort of thing. So it creates some activity, and this location at Hyla Park affected the least of businesses ever. And correct me if I'm wrong, isn't the lease on that building up this year or next year?
Joel, when, you call when?
It's up next year.
It's up next year.
So if we keep the location there, and the business owner knows that going into it, when they go, if the owners of that restaurant decide to bid on it again and stay there, they know what they're getting into up front. So it doesn't subject them to anything that will surprise them in terms of how those 2 or 4 days a year affect their business. They can make that business decision.
Well, I agree with you up to a point, Mark. Obviously, if we decide that we're going to leave it there, it's public record. The owner will know, any
Sure.
prospective bidders will know.
Yeah, they'll
But the
understand.
question becomes, from anybody's perspective, if you're devaluating that location by having a street fair, and we lose, that tenant doesn't stay, are we helping, once again, a new tenant comes in, I can't tell you if that new tenant's going to be better for the town or worse for the town
Right.
than what we have now. I can only tell you that this tenant has created something that is extremely valuable. I don't think anybody will argue that business of his is the centerpiece of the town.
Oh, sure, it's a
And probably the
fabulous
best thing that
business.
happened to our downtown, that and the new diner.
Right, no,
Brings
it's-
people to our community. So if a street fair chases him away to a certain degree, to say that, well, he wasn't surprised, and the next guy coming in will know that it's there, but will the next guy be as good as this guy? I don't know.
I think having owned a retail business in my life in a restaurant, I have a hard time accepting that anyone would not choose that location over 4 days a year of a street fair.
Okay.
It doesn't
Anybody else?
make sense.
Well, the only two people that spoke seemed to favor leaving things the way they are, and unless there's any other opinion that wants to be heard, we'll leave things the way they are. So there is a street fair scheduled for October,
October 23rd.
and it will be in the same place. And I appreciate you, taking the time to review this, because I think it, I know, having an earful from the tenant, I felt we owed it to him
That's
to at
fair.
least have it heard.
That's fair.
Well, so on that note, I would say that the communication with the tenant in that restaurant needs to be top-notch so he understands
Well,
that he's part of the process.
once again, we've heard criticism about the
Right.
level of communication, but I can vouch for the communicator, that there isn't anybody that's going to communicate harder than
Fair
her.
enough.
When people don't want to hear something, you could hit them with a hammer and they're
I
still not going to hear
understand,
it.
I
So,
understand.
anyway, National Flood Insurance Program. Who
Yes.
put this on?
I don't know who put this on.
It was requested by the JIF to
Oh.
adopt
And
a
that's
resolution in support of renewing, extending.
Anybody have a problem with the resolution?
Yes, I've been involved with this one for a while and separate. This is what my understanding is, and might be the wrong one. The National Flood Insurance Program insures people that are specifically in the areas by the shore that can be flooded due to hurricanes and other type of problems. By a majority, the House of Representatives and the Senate basically voted to take that out because it encourages a very risky building and encourages for people, since they can get a very cheap subsidized insurance, to rebuild in areas that they should not have homes. The people that are in that area revolted, and they send in their congressmen and senators and stuff like that, saying, we are not are being made the scapegoats for all this flood type of insurance, and now we're not going to be able to get insurance at subsidized rates. We're going to have to make substantial changes to our homes, and we're going to have to pay commercial rates for this insurance instead of paying the insurance that was 10 cents on the dollar. And that's where the whole thing came back and stuff like that. But the truth is that what they are looking at is like for everybody else to subsidize very cheap insurance in areas that are subject to flooding due to natural elements, instead of those people taking their responsibility on their own to understand when you do that, you have a risk. So that was my understanding, and that's why what I'm saying, I personally am not for it, but we are 5 people over here to decide whatever they want.
Question for Bob. Would this include local flooding zones, places that are prone to floods?
I don't know, I wasn't able to review.
Joel, I don't think that's.
No, we don't have
No, but
any.
There's sections of smaller municipalities are part of flood zones.
But keep in mind that there are areas in Bergen County. I'm not arguing with you, Max.
No.
I think people that build there and live there should consider other alternatives.
Okay.
However, we are part of a MEL and part of a JIF.
Yeah.
Okay, and these organizations cover these areas. So when they ask us to pass a resolution of this nature, it's usually in our best interest to do so, because if they get, somebody puts in a claim, when they get claims in these areas and they have to pay out, it costs us.
Yes.
So what they're not supporting people living there, but they're supporting, since these people are living there anyway. I think as long as we're part of the JIF, part of the MEL, then we should support what they're looking for us to do. Because the amount of money that they save us over the years is substantial. And this is basically, they're looking to cut their losses here by asking the feds to help out. I'm not arguing with you that these people shouldn't live there. I don't know, when Oakland floods and Pompton Lakes floods, and then you hear that the people are going to rebuild. Never mind that. I mean, down the shore, which may not impact us here, when people are in hurricane zones and they rebuild, you have to scratch your head. I mean, I know it's a beautiful place to live 90% of the time, but when you know you're going to take a hit sooner or later.
Peter, if this is something to help GFML and help us, I'll vote for it in a second. I'll vote for it. That was the issue with otherwise I don't have a problem with them.
Can we find out if this includes local flooding areas? It probably does.
I'm sure it does.
Yeah.
So I'm going to suggest that we pass this resolution.
I agree.
I'll support the 27th.
Okay, league conference. I think the two hotels that we've chosen over the years are the Borgata and Caesars.
Let's go back to Caesars.
Well, the interesting part about Caesars is I'm very curious about the pier, because the pier was sold again to somebody that's changing it where we ate at Budokan a couple of years. The pier is changing again. I don't know. When my kids were little and they're in their 30s now, it was like a family place. Then they changed it at least twice since then. But a major investment has been made in that. It's going to be an amusement area, I think, but more for more adults and families, but not honky-tonk, upper class, expensive. But that's right opposite Caesars. On the other hand, the Borgata is the Borgata, and the nicest place, really. But it's not on the boardwalk.
We had to go someplace.
Not within walking distance.
At the Borgata.
Yeah, we had to go almost to Caesars. We went to Caesars back.
Right. What do you guys want to do? You want to go to Caesars? What do you want to do?
Well, let's go around the table. Tony, do you ever
like the Borgata?
You usually don't go, do you?
I don't ever go.
What do you like? Well, you got 2 votes for the Borgata. What do you want?
Well, 2 votes for Caesars?
Yeah, I vote for Caesars.
Yeah, I like Caesars too, so it's up to you. You get the first time in 40 years you get to make a decision.
I say the drop. Where were we last year? We were at Borgata?
Yeah.
So let's go to Caesars this time.
Okay.
Well, we can alternate. Yeah, that's fair.
That's fair, absolutely.
Okay, and Shama will be disappointed she didn't get her set. All right. I also added this. I did this every year. There doesn't seem to be any interest. Just a reminder, we have Peace Plaza out there. If there's any interest in doing anything for 9/11, the summer is upon us, and that's why I need to know now so that we can start making plans. I know we have a community night. We also have a new residence thing that takes place over there. I'm not suggesting that we have to do something this year, but anybody have any thoughts?
Community nights, date, the date decided?
19th.
19th?
I've always think that 9/11 should be celebrated. We should do something
Very nice.
to remind, even if it's small or
We can
so.
do something very small. We can have
Yeah.
a couple of clergy people
Yeah,
do something.
it's.
I think so, yeah.
I think it's
Is there anybody that would like to take charge of this and create a small program? My suggestion would be put a program together, bring it before the council, and then if you've got two clergymen, we can talk about.
Unless Tony wants to do it, I'll be willing to do that.
No, thank you.
Yeah, you want to? I'll
Well, I'll
work.
be very glad to do so.
You can be the point person, but I'll work with you if you need my help.
Sure, absolutely, that's what we do together.
Okay. Administrators report?
Sure. You can see we have a lot of things going on. Our bus program, which initiated service on June 1st for our senior residents, is been operating on a daily basis, and it's going very well. The feedback we've been getting is good. We know, and as we discussed previously when we were here in the council, there are, suggestions and ideas about expanded services, and those are things that we are looking at for the, I guess I would say, immediate and long-range future. We're basically looking in 3-month increments. So this, in late August, we'll be doing our first, major overview and assessment. We have data.
based on use.
Based on use. We have data based on we will have data based on our daily ridership. In fact, the program staff presented a program in conjunction with the Senior Services Committee this past Monday at the Senior Center. It was very well attended. I believe you were there.
Yeah, and not to rain on it, I thought that the Senior Services Committee would like to come over here and propose some changes to that, because they had some different idea of the use of the bus. So we can talk about it.
Okay, but they keep saying this, we already had a major meeting about that. In fact, the last meeting that they had prior to this was a special meeting with myself, Councilwoman Hayter, the Senior Services Committee, the entire committee, all of the staff. So we have all of those suggestions.
Well, I think that, what do you propose as a trial period, which is what
It's
we're in?
3
now?
months.
3 months.
Yes.
So before the
And
end
that's
of
what
the
was
3-month
agreed to.
period,
Yeah.
We
I
can
don't see
discuss.
any harm in discussing it again.
Exactly.
That's all.
You can't change the policies, you can't change the operation on a daily basis.
Right.
There's no mechanism.
No,
for
I don't think that's what Max is suggesting.
No, he's not, but I'm just saying, but it's not as though we don't have that input. We
No.
had a whole meeting about just that, not because people already know where we are, so the meeting really focused on what we would like to do over the next 3 months.
I don't want to be controversial. When I report.
You can't help
Yeah. No, I'm trying not to. Here, I'm trying not to.
Okay,
But at any rate, we do monitor the
Yeah.
activity and the function on a daily
let's
basis.
go to something less controversial, like the fire department.
There is no such
regulations.
That program is, that project is moving along very well, and we're not requesting any action at, obviously, tonight's meeting, but I just wanted to give you a heads up that we would be prepared for the next council meeting to move ahead with the contract for the upgrade of the actual receivers, which we've been discussing off and on over the past year.
That's different from what's on right this
Yeah,
week.
Now, this is just
yeah.
fire department?
Yes, the other Goose Town project that you see is for Department of Public Works. That's just radios. This is the bigger project, which is a full upgrade of the fire department's communication system. School resource officer agreement. giving you, once again, notification. As you may know, that agreement expires at the end of June. It was basically a 3-year agreement. The chief did have the opportunity to sit down with the police commission and give an overview of some preliminary discussions that he's had with the board and their officials. They have indicated that they're interested in continuing the program. We had some discussions about staffing, whether or not we would continue with the existing staff, the possibility of training additional officers in the department for the future, how long an individual officer should serve in this particular capacity. The current officer right now is open to continuing, so at least for this initial renewal, we're okay. However, the cost for the salaries, which we're sharing with the board, has increased significantly over the past 3 years. So what I've been asked to do, and I will be doing it this week, is to prepare for the council first an update on what the cost would be for the officer.
What was the previous one, 50/50?
Well, see, it was 50/50 of what the cost was. And the salary at the time initially was based on a profile of a 3 to 5 year officer. However, the officer that was ultimately assigned to the duty was a 9-year veteran.
Okay, so it's much more expensive.
It's much more expensive.
Okay.
So yes, they did share 50% of the cost, but that was never
Of a lower cost.
50% of the exact.
Of the cost, not the cost.
Not the cost, not the cost.
So you're asking to have a joint use meeting to have a formal discussion about this?
Oh, well, that's
Are we
what
gonna
we-
get all the facts first?
Oh, yes, definitely,
Oh,
definitely.
Why
yeah.
would you want to go on a joint?
Right.
Yeah, why would we wanna go to a meeting until we're ready to say,
No.
okay?
No.
we're
With the facts.
No, I'll be preparing something in advance.
Confuse the issues with the facts.
Yeah.
But we just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware that there is a need to move ahead on discussing a renewal. And also, obviously, we have some time constraints given Lynn Traeger's impending retirement. The FEMA Hazard Mitigation Grant, we actually have the check in hand. It arrived today.
Nice.
So the project has been completed. Their approval and review process for this project was extremely, extremely rigorous. And I think Mazer did an amazing job of, crossing the Ts and dotting the Is, because we submitted 3 rounds before obtaining final approval. But everything is set, and now we've received our reimbursement of $100,000.
We should deposit the check quickly anyway.
You know how to deposit with a telephone?
The chase.
That's right.
So the generator work is done.
Yes.
They're online. I think it really, if we don't have anything in this newsletter, we should definitely prepare something for the next newsletter to make sure that there's a level of understanding amongst our residents as to exactly what we offer
God bless you.
and when we offer it.
We did it in a previous
Well, I think
previous
we need
edition.
to do it again.
Okay.
All right, because although we did it previously, we weren't really open for business. Now we're open for business, and I would assume that the locations where these generators are all, they understand what we're going to do, how we're going to do it, and they're prepared to do it.
I don't think that the plan, we have a general for a structure. And basically, that was the structure that was provided by Councilman Barzalato in his role as our OEM. I don't know, and Councilman, have we had any tests? Have we had any dry runs to see how we would actually communicate and set it up?
Well, Dan, I know you had your hand up, but Tony, what do you suggest we need now to prepare our residents so that if there's ever an emergency situation, they understand what's available to them, and when they get down to where they're supposed to go, the staff understands what we're offering. So there's no, no misunderstandings, no ill will. And obviously during these emergency times, things are bad enough. The last thing we need is confusion at what we're supposed to be providing, safe space.
Well, we've already provided it once before. I'm not sure why we gotta be doing this rodeo again, but,
Well, it's not a rodeo. It's
sure it is. I've already explained in the newsletter, I've already explained what these two facilities are. All it is an area for people to come and charge their phones, and really, that's about it. It's not a shelter, it's just a facility for them to come and,
Warm up.
it's all, well, not really, well, don't say warm up, because they're not gonna stay there long term.
But they can stay like 4 or 5 hours till it.
Sure. Charge their phone and
Well,
then go on.
we had what I consider to be more grandiose ideas about what we would provide in the case of, a Sandy or, now I'm not suggesting that we can go the whole 9 yards, but when you say basically this is just a place to come charge your phones, I thought that with the
It's
money
spelled
that
out
we
already.
spent.
I'll be glad to provide all of the proper language for the next council meeting. Okay?
So I want to say something about, because the Senior Services Committee discussed that at length, and they invited you. They were hoping that this will be like a morning to night place where in case of emergency where we lose power, they can come with their children or so and basically spend some time till either the electricity comes back or something, that they don't have to stay in a cold house their entire day, specifically if they have children or older people. And even though was specifically notified that it's not going to be an overnight shelter, but it's going to be like extended time.
Well, a welcoming.
Exactly, welcoming type of
Please do not use the word shelter. It is not.
I said it's
It
not a
never
shelter.
will be a
Well,
shelter. Okay?
one of the interesting lessons I took away from Sandy and the other occurrences, I don't know, has a name to it.
when we
or
had
not,
over here.
was the fact that the number of people that really had a problem was relatively small in Tenafly. And since that time, the amount of generators that have gone in, so I don't know that there's going to be a tremendous, you're not going to get hundreds of people flocking to these places and needing a place to sleep. But there always will be a handful, it could be 20, could be more, and these are the people that I think we need to serve, just like the bus. We're never going to get hundreds of people, but we're not looking to serve hundreds of people. We're looking to serve that small group of people that really don't have an alternative. And I understand what you're saying, Tony. What I'm suggesting, though, is now that we're in business, and what you presented before, there's nothing wrong with it, but it was a future situation. Now it's reality. Now that we're open for business, and I think we ought to remind people that this is what's here if you need it. I don't think it costs us anything.
And especially for the senior citizens in town, because they are the ones that probably don't have a generator. They don't know how to start the generator and stuff like that. They would be very happy to come to the senior center and spend some very warm hours till they return. That's what part of the committee that to it.
Okay.
Wait,
Thank you.
my question was vice versa. What happens if, like, is it not just for warming, but for cooling as well?
Mhm.
Okay.
Good point.
I'll be glad to provide all of the language at the next meeting.
Clean community grants?
Yes, we received this year's grant. As you can see, we received $28,504, which is pretty much about average what we typically receive. And just for those who may not be aware, we utilize these grant funds when you see the staff doing the weekend cleanups in downtown. That's what this grant underwrites. The chief wanted you to be aware that he will be attending the state chiefs training convention from June 26th to 29th.
Tell them we recommend the Borgata.
Okay.
Because we're staying good.
And just a few quick updates. The fireworks and concerts donations are going very well. In fact, we're actually over $16,000 at this point. So the fireworks display, that's always our first item that we look for. That's completely funded, and now the additional funds are being used to offset other costs related to the summer entertainment schedule.
Yeah, we're gonna have concerts, 4th of July is a Wednesday. We start our concerts Thursday, every Thursday and Tuesday until Labor Day.
Mayor, who's going to perform on the 1st?
First of what?
Of July.
Same women we had last
Oh, they
year.
were really good.
I hope to have a slightly better sound system, so, not that it was bad, it wasn't bad, but it didn't cover as much territory.
Yeah, those who heard it loved it.
The rain date is July 6th,
Which is what, a Friday?
a Thursday, I believe.
No, the 4th, Wednesday is the 4th.
It's,
No.
yeah, it's a Thursday,
I'm sorry? So it's the 5th?
the 6th.
It is the 6th? What day of the week is the 6th?
It's a Thursday.
Is it?
That's a lightning detector.
So you'll be in competition with it?
Well, not really, because we were concerned about that ourselves, but quite frankly.
Concert's over at 8.
Yeah, right. And the
Okay.
fireworks start around 9:15, so it works. And the open space grant, which we've applied for funds to do the recoding of the tennis courts, that public hearing by the county is on June 22nd, so I'll be able to attend that. I don't know if you recall, but the hearing was actually scheduled earlier, and they had to reschedule because they had a bomb scare.
Yeah, which they didn't tell anybody about until we started knocking on the county door. When do you foresee the courts actually getting recoded?
In the spring of 2018. We'll get it done as early as possible. The process is such that they send us something, we send them something.
Okay.
By the time we get everything fully executed, there's snow on the ground. The Community Development Block Grant Program for this year is actually delayed. We had a preliminary meeting, but the Northern Valley staff, or quite frankly, the county CDBG staff recommended, and the Northern Valley officials accepted their recommendation that we wait to see what is happening with the funding from HUD, from the Federal Department of Housing and Urban Development. They didn't want us to just go through an exercise. We do know so far that the total grant requests for 2017 far exceed the amount that we actually received for 2016, and now we're facing the prospect of possibly receiving less than we did the previous year. So it's going to be a tough year.
Are we able to use any of those block grants for affordable housing?
No. We, because of our
Income level.
our income levels, we're
There's the
limited.
borough income level of the
Yes.
average resident
Yes,
We don't qualify for
we're
a lot of
limited to
those.
ADA
Yeah.
activities.
to ADA
We're
activity.
we're limited to ADA except for the one census tract that we have. We have one low part
yeah, that's
census
right.
tract on Grove Street.
It's fine, yeah.
And that was why they approved the repaving of Grove. But we only
Nice.
have one census tract. The message board, you may have noticed, it's dying. So we are going to be moving ahead on procuring a new message board as quickly as we can. We do feel the absence of it. We advertise a lot of stuff there, and right now, we just feel badly that we're not maintaining that level of communication with the public. So we are working on that.
Did we put it in the budget, the message board?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
it's in the capital.
How much lower than 40,000 do you think it'll be?
We're looking at possibly half,
Oh, wonderful.
yeah. We want to make sure, though, that everything is covered because.
Should go to the Borgata.
It's gonna be a
No,
LCD.
actually,
No more LED, LCD.
if we can save 20
Great.
grand on this, I know somebody that might be able to find a use for it.
Yeah.
You know,
You can't just switch.
HPC.
You can't just switch.
It's a
But let's see
resolution.
what it
It's just a
comes down
resolution.
to.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, wait.
okay.
All right, and that's basically it. And you have
Okay,
your
well, that
reports.
message board has been dying a long time. We ought to
Yeah.
give it its last rights and move on.
I know.
Yes.
That's what
Questions
we're
for the
proposing.
administrator?
Sure.
Can you please advise when Piermont Road will be paved?
Piermont Road would be 2018?
No way, absolutely not. No, please, do not say 2018. Do not even say that. We've been talking about that for several
Well, we're
years.
getting a grant in 20.
Guess what? Oh, my God.
That's all-
That is ridiculous. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Piermont Road is a disaster.
We know that.
Yeah, you know that?
Yeah.
Maybe we should take some of these other streets and put the money into Piermont Road. Some of these other streets are not as dire as Piermont Road.
Which one?
Come on now, you gotta be kidding me.
That is our current grant for
ridiculous.
DOT.
Well, the time to discuss
And it's already
this
been approved.
is during the budget hearings when we talk about what.
Yeah, we talked about it last year and they said that we were gonna do it this year. Well, guess what? Again, we went by the wayside. That's good. Well, you can explain that to the residents. Next, when are we gonna get, the Oresco Park done? It was supposed to be done this spring.
Well, I was out most of the spring, I'm
There you go.
back. I've already prepared the RFP, and I will get that out as soon as
So
possible.
when can we see the first shovel go on the ground?
Maybe the fall.
I think we could probably do it early fall,
I think
for the type of work that we're talking to be
I
done.
think the reasonable goal would be to get this project done by Memorial Day next year.
That'd be a good goal.
What are we talking about, Joel?
How much money have we put aside for this?
Can we put 100,000?
We have a 100,000,
$100,000.
we have a total of 150,000.
Yeah.
Okay, and some of it's for the monument, and some of it's then for the landscape.
Correct, but we also have to include the soft cost. But yeah,
Okay.
alrighty.
I share your concern, I'd like to get that done too. Tony.
We're talking about it for a long time.
Under correspondence, we have a letter about the bike event. And I'm sure that this is taken care of already. I will make a note that I did get a phone call about a bike event that was taking place last weekend. The neighbors on Mahan Street are a little concerned. However, in this particular case, I think the neighbors overreacted because there really wasn't much of a crowd. Well, you would know, Paul. There wasn't much of a crowd
No, it
there.
wasn't bad at
They
all.
should send me a picture of people parked in the street, and everybody's parked legally.
Yeah, and then it was over after lunch and the crowd dispersed.
And the owner of the bike shop has been
Yeah.
put on notice that if he wants to have these events come through his bike, he doesn't run the events, but he partakes in them.
Yeah.
If he wants to partake in them, he's got to show some concern for the neighbors on that
Yeah, that's
street.
true. Most people don't know about it.
Yeah.
But it's not terribly,
Anybody have any questions about the resolutions?
One question I have about the resolution. The
What
Morpho
letter?
track.
Oh,
The Morpho track is under the state contract. Did we look at multiple sources or was just one under the state contract?
This is the only vendor approved under state contract because it's a
All right.
specific.
Fine, thanks.
Because
another issue
Because
would be
specific equipment, special.
okay.
availability. We send a lot of volunteers for this, and they don't want to have to drive to Morristown. I believe this is still Paramus. Okay, I guess that's it for now. Yes, for the good of the order, anybody have anything?
Just got a question that I'd like the engineer to answer. Why, when they did Esmond Place, they only did, when you have the oval, only half the oval has new curbs, the other half is still a disaster? I mean, you'd think you would do it, you'd do the whole thing, right? I mean, one would say. So it does look kind of
I would
ridiculous.
have to look at that. I haven't been there since they finished.
I mean, did a great job, fantastic job, but the other side is deplorable.
Peter, for the good of the order, when I wanted to do the report on the committee, there was one thing that basically the committee asked me
The senior committee?
the senior services, and I wanted to report it then because they asked us that we can start the discussion about how we want to restructure in 3 months of the bus services, and so I can put it under the good of the order, or we can discuss it then when I present
I
the
think we
meeting.
agreed to wait a little longer before we do that.
Yes, okay.
It's a 3-month.
We just
test,
want
so I would
to
say-
like seed the ideas, and then we have 2-3 months to work on them.
Well, let the committee do whatever they want, but I think meeting with the administration and the people, can wait until we're at least 2.5 months into the test period.
Okay.
Okay, Lisette, do you have any problem if we stay in here for the public meeting? I will, I'm definitely going to look, I'm going to look under
See
the...
if Mark is there, see if Mark is there.
Oh, God. Because the world should stop.
4th of July event?
Mark doesn't get
4th of July?
public meeting.
He's wearing his Anne Marie costume.
Yeah.
She's the only one in there.
Oh, is
Okay, so
Mary gonna
I
be there?
entertain a motion to close the work session.
I so move.
All in favor?
Yes.
Okay, can we go right into the public meeting in an effort to get out of here at a reasonable hour?
Sure.
Should we get Marie in here?
No, I'm just letting you know.
Good evening once again. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act, the notice requirements have been satisfied. Meeting dates for the year are confirmed at the annual meeting, are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center and published in the record within the first 10 days of the new year. Copies of all revised or additional meeting notices are sent via fax to the record, Suburbanite and Northern Valley Press, and are posted on the public bulletin board in the lobby of the Municipal Center. Salute to the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Barcelona. Here. Councilmember Bash.
Here.
Councilmember Park.
Here.
Councilmember Squattle.
Here.
Councilmember Zeta.
Here.
Mayor Russell.
Here. I'll entertain a motion to approve the following sets of minutes: May 23rd, the work session, and May 23rd, the regular meeting. A motion, please.
I so.
Thank you. A second? All in favor?
Aye.
Revisions to the agenda?
None.
Excellent. Public comment? I'll start over here if anybody has anything to say.
Johanna Gambro, Ravine Road. I did not intend to speak. But when the street fair issue came up again, I wondered how many people on the council now heard the first time that it was discussed, the Washington Street location.
I heard the discussions over
But
the
you weren't
multiple,
on the council,
over the past 6 years, I've heard
Okay.
multiple conversations.
so you heard that.
Yes.
All right. And it boggles the mind that this is coming up again, and people on Washington Street businesses have already spoken. I was downtown, and parking places are taken, businesses aren't doing the same business that they would normally. I just don't understand why we keep plowing over the same turf. So I would hope that the businesses will be notified when this is on the agenda again. Because the first time it was on the agenda, there was a petition with a significant number of businesses signing, saying that it hurt their business. And now, here we are again. So I would say it would be the thing to do to notify the business community that this is going to happen again.
Good. Anybody else?
I was disappointed that it's on the agenda, and there's not a single business here. I mean, they're busy, they have a business. And I think as a government, we owe it to them.
Well, that's why we discuss it, regardless of, we feel we discuss it too often, but we discuss it, and I think it's worthy of discussion. And I truly believe that the president of the Chamber of Commerce is going to defend herself in a couple of seconds, communicates to the membership that the street fair question is on the agenda whenever they do it. Whether these people show up, some of them don't even bother to join the chamber. And I don't, listen, in a democracy, in order to have your voice heard, you have to vote. Before you can vote, you have to register. And people that don't register and don't vote really shouldn't complain about the results of the vote. As much as I do not support the street fair, I believe the system is reasonable. I just don't believe that we should say that the majority of the business owners support it, because when only 8 or 9 or 11 people vote for something and you've got 100 members of the chamber, that's not the majority. But people could say the same thing about the presidential election, so it is what it is. But I thank you for your comments, and I know you're downtown a lot, and I know you have the pulse of things, but so do the members of the council, and we'll move forward, at least for another 6 months. Anybody else care to speak?
Oh, no. I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
I know
I'd like to
you have to say your name.
Oh, sorry. Christine Avron, President of the Chamber of Commerce, 39 Leroy Street. I'd like to reassure everyone that we did notify all the businesses that care to sign up for our email newsletter, which is about 100 of the 270 businesses in town. They all knew about this. Over the past 5 times that we have taken votes on this and solicited letters, we did turn in the letters of statements of the businesses. This last time we took a poll of all the businesses in town, not just the chamber members, and instead of it being fairly close but in favor of the businesses, we are now 2/3 of the businesses in town in favor of it. I should point out here that the people who vote, and I don't know what their exact votes are, but I see the return address on the envelopes in which the ballots are sent back in, are the people that are involved in the street fair. They have businesses downtown, or they come and they have a booth at the street fair or across the street. So yes, it is a small percentage of the chamber, but they're the ones that care about it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Anybody else? We'll close the public comment session. I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Thank you. A second? Second. Please call the roll.
Councilor Bartolotta?
Yes.
Councilor Bash?
Yes?
Councilor Park?
Yes.
Councilor Stefanowicz?
Yes.
Councilor Zell?
Yes.
Thank you. It's time for public hearings.
The following ordinance published herewith was first read by title only on May 23, 2017, and posted on the bulletin board of the lobby of the Municipal Center. Ordinance number 17-11, and ordinance amending Chapter 2, Section 2-45.8 of the revised general ordinances of the Borough of Tenafly entitled Off-Duty Employment, and more particularly amending Section 2-45.8I entitled Applicable Rates.
Public comment on this particular ordinance only. Would somebody make the motion, please? Paul, you want to do it?
I move to pass and adopt on second and final reading ordinance 1711. That notice of same shall be published according to law.
A second, please. Please call the roll.
Councilor Bartolotta?
Yes.
Councilor Bash?
Yes.
Councilor Park?
Yes.
Councilor Stefanowicz?
Yes.
Councilor Zell?
Yes.
Good evening. Mark, you want to read the next one?
Sure. Hold on a second. I make a motion to pass R17-226, authorize submission of Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund Municipal Program Park Improvement Application, ADA and Equipment Improvements Project for Sunnyside Park, and R17-227, authorize submission of Bergen County Open Space Trust Fund Municipal Program Historic Preservation Application, restoration of the Theodore Roosevelt Monument at Roosevelt Commons.
Public comment on this ordinance? Either one of these two?
We have a statement that was drafted by a member of the HPC who could not be here tonight.
All right, well, whoever's
Reno.
going to read it needs to identify themselves for the record.
Reno Denise, 112 George Street, Tenafly.
If you're comfortable, that's a booming voice.
I'm reading this for Michael Barone, who can't be here tonight, so I'm reading it in the first presence of his name. I, Michael Barone, second alternate commissioner, Tenafly Historic Preservation Commission, residing at 54 Magnolia Avenue, Tenafly, New Jersey, fully support the attempt to secure both grants and matching funds to restore and manage the designated historical monuments and properties owned by the Borough of Tenafly. I also recommend the addition of a historic preservation line item either in the DPW or the Historic Preservation Commission budget. Doing so will allow for an annual inspection and preventive maintenance needed to ensure that the repairs are done on a timely basis to avoid significant damage that will be more costly later. As a homeowner / caretaker of a historic property in Tenafly, I am bound by the building codes and ordinances that require me to maintain my beautiful home. I believe the Borough of Tenafly should be held to the same responsibilities and obligations. A possible solution is to earmark revenue from the rent of the Tenafly Railroad Station towards the historic preservation budget line that I recommended in this earlier statement. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Please call the roll.
I need a second for those resolutions.
A second, please? Thank you, Dan.
Okay. Councilmember Barzalato?
Yes.
Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zeno?
Yes.
I'm going to go out of turn here, just make a couple of comments, and that is where the budget is concerned for the Historic Preservation Commission. I would urge you folks to meet with Jewel and/or Susan to discuss next year. All right, I think that it would be very helpful to have Bob there as well, because the interests of the HPC often can fall under his auspices, or at least under his supervision. And I think we need a plan for the Roosevelt Monument in particular. We need a plan. This is a tremendous asset to our town. It doesn't get the care or the respect that it deserves. And when I say respect, I'm talking about not just from the people in this room, but from the town. And, I think it behooves us to make sure that none of us want to see under our watch this monument deteriorate any further. It's a challenge because of the material it's made of, because of the location, etc. So we really need a plan if we want to turn it around and give this monument what it deserves. So I would urge you to sit down with Jewel and or Susan and Bob and work out a plan, including the financing of this plan, so that we don't find ourselves in a position where we want to do things we don't have the money for. Okay?
Well, I could say already that my recommendation would be that once we have a plan, that we consider financing it out of our open space recreation
I
and
agree.
historic preservation. We're going to the same pot of money for the county instead of using our own.
Well, I think
We can get as much as we can from the county.
Well, excuse me, nobody's suggesting otherwise, Max.
Exactly.
But on the other hand, we do have this pot of money.
Absolutely.
And I think this is...
It's an
It
eligible
fits
activity.
very well.
Well, it is an eligible activity, but I think we'd be hard pressed to find a more logical
No, it
place
fits
to
very well.
put our money. Okay, thank you. And I guess we go to committee reports now. Dan, you want to start?
Sure. Earlier this week, last week, we met with the police commission. We got an update from the chief regarding the SRO, which will be moving along. The community alliance met, the municipal alliance met. They're closing out the school year. Detective Barnes, our SRO, secured 2 cars that were crashed, set them up in a drunk driving accident, like a head-on accident. So he set them up on stilts, and he had the entire senior class come see what it's like to be in a car accident. I believe the fire department was there as well, and it was actually a very cool program. The Rails to Trails Greenway team met 2 weeks ago, I want to say, and they are working on their structure and continuing their outreach and looking for various grants and moving right along.
Okay. Mark, you have anything?
Sure, yes, two things. Okay, so the rec board met last night. First thing is Jamie Cannon, the new director. All I'm hearing is like very positive stuff from people on the board, outside the board. She's very assertive, knows what she's doing, and all good reports on her, so good job there, Joel.
Thank you.
Rec Use Camp starts June 22nd. It's full, again, with 400 kids, which is the maximum we're allowed to have. And there's about 35 kids on the wait list, most of which are Tenafly residents. The rec team, the rec crew, we're starting a 3 to 5-year-old lacrosse feeder program, so that's good news. The ice skating and horseback riding, which started a year ago, is going to continue for a second year. The snack bar, which is out at Municipal Field, Jamie is putting out an RFP. There's several individuals in town who happen to be in the food service business, and the RFP is for them to pay the borough a flat fee to be able to manage that when the football team's not officially there. So we'll get some revenue from that, and then the snack shack will be open for all the different events.
Question for Jewel about, can they just send an RFP out to certain people, or is it publicized where anybody that wants?
It has to be advertised.
And she knows that, right?
Yeah, she indicated that last night. It's a public RFP.
Okay.
The Muni scoreboard at Municipal Field, the scoreboards received a few hits from the soccer players there. It's still in the warranty, so it's been repaired, no cost. But the rec board is going to spend about, the rec department's going to spend about $1,700, which they have the cash for, to put a cage over it so there's no further damage there, which is a good idea. They're having Jamie's having a kind of a summit meeting, as she called it, with all the program leaders of the different 12 programs or so to get together with all of them in a room at the same time, just so they can coordinate and talk about different activities, field use.
What do you mean by 12 programs?
Well, there's about 12 different programs, co-sponsored sports, all that.
Okay.
And so she's getting all the leaders of those programs in a room together to talk about field usage and scheduling, and so everyone can meet each other. And that's it for rec. On the Chamber of Commerce side, the Chamber is providing glow sticks for the 4th of July event. So we want everyone to know that. And dancing in Hyla Park starts June 14th through August 30th, and it's every Wednesday from 6:30 to 7 p.m., and it's paid for and sponsored by several different businesses in town.
And Mark is going to be the private attraction.
Yeah, June 14th,
Now,
I'm dancing.
That's right.
I would say that the PA system that we used on Memorial Day, which was donated by the Chamber, worked extremely well.
Good.
So Christine, I would assume that's what you're using for the dancing with
Yes.
recorded music?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
All right, and please invite the dancers when we have the big bands. You know, we have the Jazz Lobsters coming, and we have, I forget his first name, James Martin, big bands. I'll give you the dates. People are certainly welcome to dance those as well.
I'll be happy to put that out.
Anything else?
That's it for me.
Tony, you have anything? No. Okay, I just wanted to add a couple of things on the police commission. That I know Dan covered most of it. Bill Barnes, who has been our SRO for the last 3 years, has really grown into the job. He has an excellent rapport with the kids and the administrators. However, as Dan said, it's really not a lifelong assignment. So the question becomes, are there any other people that are interested? Apparently Bill might be willing to stay on. So this is something that is going to be discussed and determined over the next month or so. We talked about traffic calming instruments, signs. The 3 streets in particular that we were talking about were West Clinton, East Clinton, and the intersection of West Clinton and West Railroad, where signage might help. I know we've had some issues on East Clinton. The speed limit there is 25 miles an hour, which is almost impossible to do when you're going down the hill. There's a number of streets that need some attention, keeping in mind that there's speeding on almost every street. However, where West Clinton, East Clinton, Engle Street, Dean Drive, County Road, Tenafly Road, where they differ is they get a lot of commuter traffic. All the rest of the streets are primarily our residents. and it's our residents that are speeding in front of their neighbors' homes and in front of their neighbors' kids and people that are pedestrians. So, once again, this is something we have to work on. The police department is well aware of that. When they give out tickets to residents, they get criticized. But it's our residents that often speed. So, it's a tough situation. Road markings, such as crosswalks. We at one time had an employee, Nick, who worked out of the police department really. He retired, DPW took it over, and they're having a hard time keeping up. Nobody's fault. There's just not enough manpower. So we're considering a part-time employee in the summer to try and catch up with the crosswalks are so important, especially for school kids. We got a complaint, one complaint, which is usually the average for the 5K run. A resident complained that he wasn't noticed and couldn't get out of his driveway, etc., etc. Once again, like the Chamber of Commerce, the people that run the 5K do their work and take it very seriously, but we are considering next year doing a code red for not only the 5K, but the Reuben Run, which takes place. And once again, these can be centralized amongst the small geographic area that is impacted. We talked about the street fair and the impact it had on traffic and parking. And once again, from the police perspective, they really didn't have a problem with it. They thought this was probably, from their perspective, the best place that it could be. We also talked about radios, computers in our police cars, the fire department. Well, this was the police department. We're working on improving communications there as well. That's it for me. Max, do you have anything?
Yeah, the Senior Services Committee met on Monday. We had a meeting with the, also an hour after that we had a meeting with the driver and the staff of the bus. I cannot tell you how thankful the senior citizens were that they have now transportation. Welcome, change for the town. We'll discuss all the changes that were discussed about because we want to be different than the small towns, but we have time to change that. Other issues that were brought up at the meeting was that they want to start having what it's called a file of life.
A what?
A file of life. I'll go through that in a second. Basically, they will put on the door a sticker saying file of life, which means if the rescue people, if there's something happened to them, they come in on the fridge, all the data about, medication and everything is going to be there on the file of life over there, so they can take it, they know how to take care of the people and so on. They wanted to know if you have anything like that work out for emergency or not, or they can do that on their own and start giving them to the senior citizen. The second part that we're very concerned is that a large majority of the seniors have their keys and everything in the police department for emergencies specifically. But they were told by the police department that in case of emergency, they're not going to take the key. They're going to come in, and if nobody answers, they're going to break the door down to get to the people in the house. Now, they are very, very concerned. Those are senior citizens living alone. They're taken to the hospital, and the door of the house is broken and open. Not exactly the best approach in trying to help the community.
Well, before we go any further on that, it doesn't seem to make too much sense to me that they would have somebody's keys but not use them.
No, the keys are at the police department.
No, I'm saying that the police have the
and that
keys.
we have to discuss with them. That's why I brought it up for people that are the.
Joel,
well, if you could just to throw, you could imagine if a police car is dispatched and he's on the road near the residence, he's not going to. And 911 come back to the police department.
But that's the issue. At the same time, you don't want to leave the house.
Has that happened? Do we have examples of that?
I'm not so sure. They brought it up.
Well, you know what? rather than waste a lot of time on this,
Yeah.
Jewel, would you speak to Rob and get a sense of, I mean, obviously, nobody wants to break somebody's door down.
Exactly.
Peter, hold on a second. If they enter the house, whether it be forcibly or not, the house is always secured. They never leave a house unsecured. Never. So,
Well, and I don't doubt that for a second, Tony. What I think we need is we need some sort of a statement from police and fire. I'd like to know what the purpose of the police holding the keys for. Now, is it just for...
the keys were always there for, in case somebody lost their key or they
Gets
didn't have
locked
the key. It was not there for an emergency purpose.
Well, okay,
Never.
so I think what would be helpful is we get a statement from the police as to the purpose of holding on to the keys, and get a statement from police and fire as to if they ever have to get into a house and break the door to get
Ambulance,
in,
yeah.
assure the homeowner that before they leave, the house is secured. I don't think either of those things are a big deal.
And the second part is, if this type of announcement with file of life and stuff like that, which they want to put on the door, would they participate in that type of activity, so they know anytime you see the sticker on the door, go to the fridge or something where you have all the vital signs for the...
I would ask the chief, does he recommend that sticker being put on an outside door where it can be seen from the street? I don't think that's a good idea, because that really basically says, oh, there's a senior person living here alone. And I don't think that's a good idea. Now, what they might be able to do is put it somewhere where it's inside and noticeable, so that somebody walks in through the front door, they know to go to the refrigerator.
Or something like that, but that's exactly what they need to understand, because they want to order this for all the senior citizens in town, to give them to start a program.
Well, I think
you better have the ambulance involved first before you
That's
start doing that.
that's why I brought it up
we
here.
need to figure out where to put that.
Yeah.
I don't think it should be on the outside where somebody can see it from the street.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole idea, is to brought it to the council so we can get it all together.
Is that it, Max?
That's it.
Thank you. Paul, you have anything?
I'll start with the library board. They're going to be looking at improving the security system that you see when they go in and out. It's over 20 years old, and they've got some money to fine tune it and so forth and so on, but it's been very successful. The nice thing that they've announced on the website, they have 10 new laptops that are available to be used at the library, or they can be rented by patrons. So that's a nice thing.
It can be rented by,
Yeah,
when you say rent, does people pay a fee?
I'm not exactly sure. I saw it on their Facebook page today.
I would be curious as to,
Yeah.
when you use the term rent, it usually records.
That's what they said, available for rental. I didn't know that. The board met last night, and I just heard that they had gotten them, and they were available to be used by the patrons. I
I mean,
didn't know
I could
that you
see them requiring a deposit. If
That-
you're gonna-
that
if it's going
might
off-
be-
Going out of it.
Yeah. But I can find out about that. The HPC held the first of some hearings on some of the Railroad Avenue sites that they would like considered for historic designation. There are a total of 5. The landlords from, I believe, 3 of them showed up. One building was interested, which is the Cookteek building. The other building landlords have asked for postponement to give this more thought, and the HPC wants the process to be, generous and open, so the hearings for the other 4 properties range from July into October, so that everyone gets...
So that everybody at the table knows exactly. One building was the Wells Fargo Bank.
Correct.
They asked for postponement, so they still had somebody show up, but didn't participate, correct?
Correct, they got signed September 7th.
Okay, the next building was the movie theater.
Right.
Somebody was there for the movie theater also, but
Did
didn't
not
participate.
participate, and their hearing is going to be July 6th, because I think they had sent a letter in asking for postponement.
Now, the third building is what used to be the apothecary. It's an interesting building with the little
Correct.
columns in front of it. They didn't come, right?
They came.
They came.
They were concerned because the woman who is the landlord is in ill health and they're taking care of their mom. So they wanted some time to go over things with her. So they actually pushed them back to October 5th.
The fourth building was critiqued, they were there and supported.
And then that other corner
And
building.
the fifth building was the one that didn't show up.
Correct.
didn't
So they
respond at
just
all.
pushed them to July.
That's the very corner building on the southwest corner. I think it's 3 or 4 story apartment house with the consignment business in the bottom. Okay.
That's all.
Anything? That's it?
Yes.
Dan, you want to talk about the meeting we had regarding the Greenway?
What?
About the update?
Yes, I don't know if it's part of our report we met.
What,
with,
who met?
Dan, Shama,
Shama.
myself.
Why would 3 council people have a meeting?
They needed they wanted an update from, what's his name? Andrew McKesh,
Who's they?
No,
Max and Shama.
it's different.
I'm
So
a little concerned that 3 council people would on their own have a meeting like this. That's not proper. That's not proper. If you want a report from somebody like that, you ask them to come and give a report. There's no committee here of 3 people that are intertwined with the Greenway. You're the liaison to the council, and you shouldn't be having meetings with 3 council people outside of this room.
It was here. It's
Yeah, but
3, including me.
I understand that, but
A low quorum. 3's okay.
His sunshine.
3's
Yeah.
okay.
three's okay.
Three's
okay.
not a violation.
I
No.
didn't say it was a violation, but you want.
They wanted an
3
update, so we sat down and gave
So
an update.
whatever Andrew
It should
McKesh,
be- If there are issues and council people want to raise it and say, maybe we should have, create a committee for it. That's one thing. It's not a good idea to do things outside, but there's nothing.
No, I didn't say there was a violation, and if you want to form a committee, let's form the committee here.
That's here.
And then, so that everybody here knows what's going on. You know what I'm saying, Dan? You've been doing this for long enough. All right, so anyway, what happened at the meeting?
Oh, they just got an update, just catch up really.
let's update the council on it.
No, what happened that meeting?
You want me to update it?
Maybe we need more
This
council.
was a while back.
That's why we have to meet.
Andrew,
That's why we
So
have to
somebody tell us what's going on.
Okay,
What
so what
happened?
happened is Andrew
Yeah,
McKesh,
well,
who is part of the Chamber of Commerce, is also the
What? No, he's not.
the project manager for this Greenway.
He's the Rotary.
Yeah.
Let me put this in perspective. Andrew McKesh is a member of Rotary.
Yeah.
But not in this capacity.
I'm sorry?
Not in this capacity. Not for the Greenway.
Well, he is a Rotarian.
Yes, he is.
Okay, and long before this project came to this table, it was discussed at a Rotary table where Rotary, not only Tenafly Rotary in general, was going to advocate for this project. And in all fairness, and if I misspeak, Christine, raise your hand. The fact that Rotary is a nonprofit, registered nonprofit organization was very helpful in getting the foot in the door with CSX. So Andrew, that was where Andrew was originally involved. Then, you remember, we came before this body here to talk about whether this body basically support the concept, because we don't have anything in concrete yet. This body agreed to do that. Dan agreed to be the liaison between this body and the committee working on the Greenway project. And representatives of the 6 towns on the line all did the same thing.
Correct.
Mayors got involved, they appointed liaisons to the council, and this committee has met a couple of times. Part of the committee did meet with CSX. All right, it was an off-the-cuff meeting that was basically suggested by CSX on very short notice, so that the representative of CSX, who had never seen the line before, could come down and just see what the heck we're talking about.
Yes.
And hopefully, he brings it back and it goes further, but there's, once again, no real guarantee. Andrew, I was basically asked or agreed by this committee to chair it. Is that correct? How we got that position?
Yes.
No, it's not. Can I because that's what we wanted to understand. Before the entire committee of 6 towns and everything was created, was this nonprofits that were basically the Rotary and a few other organizations.
Just the Rotary.
I'm sorry?
Just the Rotary.
That basically came up with this request. And when that happened, they said, let's assign a project manager before the whole thing started. And they assigned Andrew to be the project manager. After that, all the towns got together and we agreed that we're going to have a representative and so. But it seems that all the towns have also recognized that, hey, the Rotary did a great job, it's very helpful, let's keep Andrew McCash as a project manager to continue, so we have a working arm that continues to do that, because we meet from time to time and might as well have this. And Andrew, with 15 and 20 volunteers, is now working under the umbrella of this organization, which are our town representatives, trying to move the ball forward. So when we meet with him, he wanted to, as a matter of fact, he has requested that meeting between Shama, myself, and Dan to be. And that's how we got together. And he presented exactly how he became involved, how Rotary got involved, and how then the town took over as an umbrella organization.
Well, I would say that Andrew did not request the meeting. You folks requested the meeting.
No, you're wrong. No, you're wrong.
Dan?
He requested that meeting.
Hold on.
I can send you the emails. Anyhow, till he's looking at it, let me go.
Well, because whether you...
Should I just,
Basically, it makes no sense that Andrew would request 3 council people to meet with him. It just may...
He was over here when he heard us discussing and saw that we are interested, and he said that we should get together and discuss it at a leisure time. And that's why the whole thing happened. But let me go through the process then. So where we are right now with this one is that Andrew, as a project manager, it's still considered as the working arm with his group trying to move forward this project. When this was brought up to the Rotary said, under no circumstances we want to be the owners of that path from here to wherever it is, because we cannot maintain it. We know what we can do is facilitate, and that's why they want to be a facilitator. Also, they committed that they might do a fundraiser, if that happens, to help us or help this project with working capital, because it's going to require working capital in order to move forward with the project. For the acquisitions of the land, if that happens, they are looking at Department of Transportation funds that are available for bicycle and walking lanes, which can be used for that type of purchasing. The ad hoc at random meeting with CSX was the first time when the CSX finally got back here and said they're going to be here trying to basically understand the magnitude and everything of the situation. In order to get this moving, Andrew is looking to do a feasibility study, because in order to get even the first step to see if you qualify for funds, a sort of a feasibility study needs to be done, to be presented first to all the 5 different towns that are part of this organization, and if the towns agree, then to be presented to the New Jersey State of Transportation, so see if they can qualify for the funds. And that's where he is now with his volunteers are trying to do at this moment in time. So,
all right, thank you. I think we all have a better understanding of what's going on.
Is he on the agenda for the 27th?
No, I received the report yesterday and I forwarded it to everyone.
Because I think he mentioned to me.
He thought he was going to be on the agenda for today.
Oh, today?
And I said, I got the report yesterday. And because the thing is, that DOT grant, from what he told me, is due the 30th. that the person who's putting it together is going away, so they're trying to submit it to 26, 27.
Use the right words.
Sure.
There is a DOT money that will be clawed back by the federal government. We are not looking to get that grant. We are looking to notify the DOT that this is a potential project that would be eligible for this money, so they might be able to use that information to not let the money run away. But we are not applying for the grant. We are just notifying them of the existence of this project.
Well, from my perspective, just having listened to everything that's been thrown at me, we talk about it a lot at Rotary. Christine has my ear. I just listened to Matt. I believe that the best chance for this project to move forward will be county involvement.
Yes.
The county has the money. Being that it's 6 towns in Bergen County, it's a natural fit. And, I think there's a bike path up called the Saddle River Park or something.
yeah.
It runs from Ridgewood all down. It's really ideal.
Nice.
And, at some point in time, I'm hoping that the county will get involved. And Dan, you would know more about this than I. But this is a natural, they have the money. And, the DOT, that's fine. But getting money out of them is going to be very, very difficult.
As a matter of fact, Andrew asked Dan to get letters of support from the county specifically. Did we get a letter?
Not yet.
All right, but that's what you promised we're gonna do.
Okay.
Specifically.
Anything else?
No.
Any old business? Under new business, we have 2 ordinances to be introduced, I think, 2?
One.
Hold on.
Dan, you want to do it?
I move to introduce and pass on first reading ordinance 17-12 and set the hearing for June 27, 2017 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter in the council chambers of the Tenafly Municipal Center.
The second, please?
Second.
Ordinance number 17-12, an ordinance authorizing the acquisition of block 715, lot 13, commonly known as 5 Serpentine Road in the Borough of Tenafly. Councilmember Barcelado? Councilmember Bash?
Yes.
Councilmember Park?
Yes.
Councilmember Stefanowitz?
Yes.
Councilmember Zinn?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor's remarks, just very briefly. I want to thank and commend Council President Mark Zinner for his run for the Roses. I think what Mark did reflected not only very well on him, how he carried himself through the campaign, but it reflected well on Tenafly also. Every time I saw his name and next to it Tenafly Councilman, I felt really good about it. And I hope that you folks did as well. It takes a lot of guts and courage. I'm not sure about the level of intelligence. No.
I'm used to taking shots. At this point, I don't even know what I'm insulting.
A lot of guts and courage to do what he did, and I applaud him for it. And I hope long-term that you find it to be very beneficial to whatever your goals are. I think it reflected very well on our community, and I thank you for doing it. And I look forward to whatever you're going to be doing in the future, and I hope that, along with myself, the rest of the community can support Mark in endeavors should he decide to do something beyond the borders of Tenafly.
Thanks, Peter.
You're welcome.
Good luck.
We have a closed session tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Resolved in compliance with NJSA 10:4-12, the Mayor Council of our Tenafly go into closed executive session, discuss a number of personnel matters. I'll list them. First is a matter concerning the DPW and an update on the investigation. The second is also a DPW matter concerning personnel sick leave or leave of absence request by Mr. Dolch. And the second personnel matter is with respect to the pending retirement of our tax assessor and the interaction with and impact on the Borough Clerk's office. This will be taken to the meeting and released to the public at the time the matters are resolved. After this closes our session, the mayor and council reconvene in this Richard T. Wilson Committee room to adjourn this public meeting.
Motion to go into close?
So moved.
Thank you. A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
5-minute break and then we
Yes.
close session.